The galaxy was no longer the same. Before, humans had been a joke, weak, fragile, laughed at by every empire. But now, silence fell whenever their name was spoken. Fleets had vanished. Survivors returned with eyes filled with terror. And still, no one truly understood how. The survivors spoke of shadows. Of human ships appearing and disappearing like ghosts. Of soldiers who fought without fear, who advanced even while burning. The stories spread across spaceports, colonies, and military outposts. At first, some believed they were lies. But as more fleets disappeared, even the strongest doubters began to feel a cold truth. Humanity was not fighting like the rest of the galaxy. They fought like hunters. The empires grew restless. Colonies near human borders abandoned their cities. Traders changed routes, avoiding the blue planet. Armies whispered of war coming from the dark. The Council tried to keep order. They told the galaxy not to panic, that humans were still weak compared to their united strength. But deep inside, even the councillors knew the truth: control was slipping from their hands. Every time they sent fleets, the fleets never returned. Every time they tried to measure humanity's strength, they only found shadows. One councillor slammed his hand on the table during a secret meeting. This cannot continue. They are spreading fear without even firing on our worlds. If we allow this, our empires will collapse before a single human soldier lands on our soil. But another replied, his voice low and uncertain. Tell me, how do we fight an enemy we cannot see? How do we strike back against ghosts? The chamber fell silent. For the first time in centuries, the most powerful rulers of the galaxy had no answer. Meanwhile, out in the dark, humanity was watching. Human warships prowled the edges of alien space, striking suddenly then vanishing into the void. Alien fleets tried to chase them but always failed. Sometimes, the humans left wreckage behind. Sometimes, they left survivors. But always, their message was the same. We are here. We are watching. We are waiting. The psychological war had begun. On alien worlds, fear spread faster than fire. Children whispered human stories at night. Soldiers feared being sent near Earth. Entire colonies begged their rulers to retreat from human borders. But the humans did not demand tribute. They did not ask for surrender. They did not conquer. And that made them even more terrifying. Because if humans were not fighting for riches, or glory, or land, then what were they fighting for? The Council studied old human records, searching for answers. They read of Earth's history, of endless wars, of nations fighting each other to the edge of destruction. They saw battles where humans stood their ground even when hopelessly outnumbered. They saw soldiers fighting with broken weapons, refusing to retreat. One counselor whispered the truth none wanted to hear. They are not fighting for power. They are fighting for survival. And when a species fights for survival, nothing can stop them. Outside, the shadows of war grew stronger. Alien fleets tried one last time to trap the humans, setting an ambush near the edge of human space. Thousands of warships waited in silence. The plan was simple: let the humans strike first, then crush them with overwhelming numbers. But the humans did not fall for it. Instead, the ambushing fleet found itself surrounded. Human ships emerged from every direction, their movements too fast, too precise. Within hours, the ambush became a massacre. Once again, only a few survivors were allowed to escape. And once again, their words carried terror across the stars. They don't fight like us, one survivor whispered in a trembling voice. They don't fight for victory. They fight to erase us. The galaxy began to understand. This was not a war of conquest. Not a struggle for land or wealth. This was something far darker. The humans had become predators, and the rest of the galaxy was their prey. The galaxy was not empty. It was alive with countless civilizations. Empires rose and fell, trading routes stretched across the stars, and great fleets patrolled the dark between worlds. Each empire believed itself strong, powerful, and secure. Among them, humans were small. They came from a single blue planet called Earth, a world most aliens considered unimportant. Humans had no ancient empire, no great legacy written in the stars. Their technology was younger, their fleets fewer, their worlds fragile. To the Galactic Council, the group of leaders who claimed to watch over peace Earth was a joke. Many times, alien delegates laughed at humans. They called them reckless. They called them weak. Some even said humanity's only strength was luck. For years, no one argued. Even humans seemed to know their place. They kept quiet, never challenging the great powers, never showing teeth. But then, silence began to break. It started with whispers. Rumors from distant colonies. Merchant ships that went out but never returned. Patrol fleets that stopped sending reports. At first, no one cared. Fleets vanished all the time, pirates, accidents, black holes. Space was dangerous. But the whispers grew. Survivors appeared. Their faces pale, their voices shaking, their words trembling with fear. They came from the dark, one survivor said. We fired everything we had, but it didn't matter, another whispered. We never saw them coming, a third cried, his eyes wide with terror. The council dismissed the stories. They said it was exaggeration, a coward's tale. Yet more fleets went missing. More survivors returned. And every story carried the same warning. The humans are not what they seem. The council grew uneasy. They summoned their spies, demanding reports. They sent scouts to Earth, hoping to find answers. But the answers were stranger than the questions. On Earth, life seemed normal. Humans built cities, raised families, lived their small, short lives. But hidden beneath, there was something else. Their armies trained in silence. Their ships moved in shadows. Their technology advanced faster than anyone thought possible. The council didn't understand. How could such a young species move so quickly? How could they fight in ways even older empires could not? One counselor whispered in fear. What if they were never weak? The words were ignored. But deep inside, the council began to feel something they had not felt in centuries. Doubt. Then came the breaking point. A full battle fleet, strong and well-armed, entered the edge of human space. They expected no resistance. They expected to show their strength, maybe even frighten Earth into obedience. But the fleet never returned. Only wreckage drifted back into known space. Shattered hulls, broken weapons, and one final black box recording. The council watched it in silence. At first, nothing. The fleet moved through space, confident and calm. Then, shadows appeared. Not massive fleets, not great armadas, just small human ships, moving like predators. They attacked with speed no one expected, striking hard, vanishing back into the dark. Alien ships fired in every direction, but it was useless. The humans were everywhere and nowhere. Screams filled the recording. Explosions lit the void. And then, silence. The last sound was a human voice, calm and cold, speaking through the static. You should not have come here. The chamber fell quiet. For the first time in history, the Galactic Council had no words. Whispers spread like wildfire through every empire. Soldiers told each other stories in hushed voices. Traders refused to travel near Earth. Entire colonies began to fear the blue planet they once mocked. It was no longer just a rumor. It was truth. Humanity was not weak. Humanity was not prey. But if they were not weak, then what were they? The galaxy had no answer. Only a question that echoed across every star system, a question that burned in the hearts of every leader, every soldier, every child. What are humans really? The Galactic Council gathered in their grand chamber. The room was filled with the leaders of the greatest empires, tall insectoid rulers, scaled warlords, glowing beings of energy, and cold machine minds. Together, they represented the strength of the galaxy. But that day, strength was absent. What filled the chamber instead was fear. The reports were impossible to ignore. An entire battle fleet had vanished. Survivors spoke of shadows. Ships moved like hunters, striking with perfect precision. And worst of all, every survivor mentioned the same enemy. Humans. At first, the counselors laughed. Humans? Those fragile creatures from that tiny blue world? Impossible, one declared. They do not have fleets strong enough to face us, another insisted. They are prey animals, a third sneered. Always hiding, always begging. They are not hunters. But the laughter was thin. Even as they spoke, the evidence played on the holoscreens: burning wreckage, broken ships, terrified recordings of captains screaming before silence. The council could not explain it. How? One voice finally asked. How could such a weak race destroy a fleet 10 times their size? No one answered. The chamber fell quiet, only the hum of machines filling the space. Then a voice broke the silence. It came from an old counselor, his scaled hands trembling. I have seen this before, he whispered. Long ago, when our kind first sailed the stars, there were predators that hunted us. They were smaller, weaker. But they did not stop. They did not surrender. And in the end, they killed us faster than the great beasts ever could. I fear, humans are the same. The room erupted in argument. Lies, shouted one leader. They use tricks. Hidden weapons. Perhaps another empire aids them, cried another. This is a test. We must crush them before the whispers spread further. But the whispers were already spreading. Across the galaxy, colonies had heard the news. Merchants warned each other not to approach Earth's borders. Armies hesitated to follow orders. Children whispered human stories in the shadows of their schools, stories filled with blood and fear. One counselor slammed a hand on the table. We are the greatest empires of the galaxy. Are we to be frightened by one small world? The words echoed boldly, but his voice shook. Even the proudest rulers felt the weight of doubt pressing down on them. A projection lit up the chamber, showing the fleet's black box recording again. The counselors watched in silence. Small human ships darted between alien warships, moving like wolves circling prey. Each strike was deadly, each attack perfect. The recording ended with the human voice, "You should not have come here." The voice was not angry, not loud, just calm, cold, like a predator warning before the kill. The chamber trembled with silence. What are they hiding? One counselor asked. How much power do they truly have? Another replied, almost whispering, perhaps we never knew them at all. Perhaps humanity has only shown us what they wanted us to see. The council could not agree. Some demanded immediate war, to burn Earth before its secret strength grew. Others begged for caution, fearing the humans were already too strong. But in every corner of the chamber, the same feeling grew. Doubt. The galaxy had mocked humans for centuries. But now, even the most arrogant rulers looked at the blue planet with new eyes. If humans could destroy fleets with so little effort, then what else were they capable of? As the council ended the session, no answer was found. But every leader left the chamber with the same question burning in their mind. Have we just awakened a predator? The council could not agree. Some wanted war. Some wanted peace. But one thing united them: curiosity. They had mocked humanity for centuries, yet now whispers of fear echoed across every world. Rumors alone could not be trusted. The council demanded proof. So, they sent another fleet. It was not a small fleet this time. It was larger, stronger, filled with the finest ships of 3 great empires. Thousands of soldiers, countless weapons, engines burning bright as they crossed into human space. Their mission was simple: show strength. Intimidate Earth. Break the myth of human power. At first, everything was quiet. The fleet entered human territory with confidence. Alien commanders laughed, saying, "See? The humans hide. They fear us." But silence is never empty. The fleet moved deeper. Planets passed by, barren and abandoned. Human colonies were strangely quiet. Not a signal. Not a distress call. Nothing. It felt wrong. Then it began. The first ship vanished. No explosion, no warning, just gone. The commander thought it was an error. Then a second ship vanished. A third followed. Panic spread across the comms. Where are they? What is happening? Suddenly, shadows moved across their scanners. Small human ships appeared, darting in and out of the void. They didn't fight like other empires. They didn't form battle lines. They struck like hunters, swift, silent, and precise. An alien battleship fired its cannons. The humans didn't dodge. They disappeared before the shots landed, reappearing behind the battleship. In seconds, the alien ship exploded, torn apart by weapons no one had seen before. The fleet tried to regroup, but humans gave them no chance. They moved too fast, too smart. Each alien ship that turned to fight found itself ambushed. Each squadron that ran found itself hunted. Voices filled the comms. They're everywhere. We can't see them. They're inside the formation. But the worst part wasn't the human weapons. It wasn't even their speed. It was their silence. Humans didn't taunt. They didn't roar. They didn't waste words. Their ships moved like predators in the dark, and their silence screamed louder than any battle cry. One alien captain, desperate and trembling, opened all channels and shouted, "We surrender. Do you hear me? We." His ship exploded before he finished. The message was clear. This was not a game. Hours passed. The fleet that had once filled the void was reduced to wreckage and fire. Alien survivors drifted helplessly in escape pods, staring into the endless dark. And then, for the first time, a human voice came across the comms. Calm. Cold. Empty of mercy. "You should not have come here." The survivors froze. They had expected rage, threats, or demands. But the voice carried none of that. It was simply a warning. A predator's whisper before the kill. The humans did not finish them. They let a handful of escape pods survive. And as the survivors floated back toward alien space, one thought burned in their minds. The humans wanted them to live. They wanted them to carry the story back. When the survivors returned, their words spread like wildfire. Soldiers who once mocked humanity now trembled at the name. Colonies near human space packed up and fled. Traders abandoned routes that had once been rich with profit. But the most terrifying thing was not the destroyed fleet. It was the realization that humans had chosen not to unleash their full power. If this was only a fraction of their strength, what would happen if Earth decided to truly fight? The galaxy, for the first time, began to understand. Humanity was not weak. Humanity was not prey. They were hunters. And the first contact with fear had only just begun. The galaxy could no longer stay silent. For too long, humans had struck from the shadows. Fleets vanished, colonies trembled, and fear spread like a plague. The alien empires had tried to ignore it, but fear was destroying them faster than war itself. Now, the council decided there would be no more waiting. In the grand chamber of the council, voices rose in anger and fear. Leaders of empires that had once mocked Earth now shouted for action. They are only one species. We cannot allow them to control the galaxy with fear. If we strike together, we will crush them before they grow stronger. The humans are clever, yes, but they are not gods. We will remind them who rules these stars. The decision was made. The largest fleet in galactic history was formed. Hundreds of thousands of warships from dozens of empires gathered. Battleships the size of cities, carriers that could unleash endless waves of fighters, dreadnoughts that had never lost a battle. Together, they formed a wall of power never seen before. The plan was simple: strike directly at Earth. Destroy their home. End their shadow war forever. But even as the massive fleet gathered, unease lingered in every commander's heart. The humans had been unpredictable. Always one step ahead. What if they were ready for this? The admirals laughed at the thought. They are strong in the dark, yes. But in the open, against the full might of the galaxy, they will fall. And so, the fleet moved. A tide of warships darkened the stars, heading toward the small blue planet that had become the center of every whisper. Civilizations across the galaxy watched in silence. On alien worlds, crowds gathered before great screens, watching the armada. Soldiers cheered. Citizens prayed. Many believed this would be the end of the human threat. But some, those who had seen the shadows, felt only dread. As the fleet drew closer, strange things began to happen. Long-range sensors failed. Communications flickered in and out. Ships reported ghost signals, faint blips that appeared and vanished like whispers in the void. Some captains dismissed them as technical errors. Others felt their stomachs twist with fear. Then, the first ship disappeared. One moment it was there, a mighty battleship. The next, silence. No explosion, no wreckage, no trace. Just gone. Panic spread through the fleet. Commanders barked orders, tightening formations. But then another ship vanished. And another. Shadows flickered in the darkness, just beyond sight. The humans were waiting. From the blackness of space, human warships emerged. They were smaller than many alien ships, but they moved like predators, fast, precise, deadly. They struck at weak points, vanished before counterattacks could land, then struck again from another angle. The great galactic armada, so proud and powerful, was suddenly bleeding. Admirals roared for order. Hold the line. Crush them with numbers. But numbers meant nothing in the dark. Every alien ship destroyed was a victory for the humans. Every alien ship that survived carried terror back into its ranks. The humans were not fighting for territory. They were fighting to break the will of the galaxy itself. Hours passed. Battles raged. The fleet advanced, but slowly, painfully. Every step closer to Earth cost thousands of lives. For the first time, the galaxy realized this war would not be won in days or weeks. This was a war of survival. And the humans were masters of survival. At last, the fleet reached the edge of the Sol system. The commanders looked at the blue planet in the distance. It seemed so small, so fragile. And yet, it had held them at bay longer than any empire in history. One alien commander whispered words that chilled his crew. If they fight this hard to protect their home, what will they do if we actually reach it? The question hung in the air, heavy and cold. Because deep inside, everyone in that fleet already knew the truth: reaching Earth was not the end of their mission. It was the beginning of their nightmare. The alien armada thought it held all the power. Hundreds of thousands of warships, carrying the deadliest weapons the galaxy had ever known, advanced toward Earth with confidence. They were wrong. For centuries, humans had been underestimated. Small fleets, weak technology, and fragile worlds, everything led the galaxy to believe humans were weak. Yet the truth had been hidden, carefully guarded. And now, the time had come to reveal it. Deep beneath the oceans, in the mountains, and across vast deserts, humans moved in perfect synchronization. Massive shipyards, invisible to alien sensors, hummed with life. Engines roared, weapons charged, and fleets long hidden in the darkness of space prepared for the first strike. They were not just defending Earth. They were preparing to show the galaxy what humanity really was. The first human warships emerged silently. Not one, not 10, but thousands, stretching across the void like a living shadow. They moved in formations aliens could not predict, disappearing and reappearing, striking before the enemy could even react. Alien scouts were the first to fall. Their sensors picked up nothing, yet ships vanished one by one. Reports came in, filled with terror. They appear from nowhere. They strike without warning. They are unstoppable. Admirals tried to rally their fleets, but the humans were already among them. Alien ships fired blindly into the void. Explosions lit the darkness, but human ships were gone before the shots landed. Where the aliens saw open space, humans saw opportunity. One battleship captain whispered in horror. They do not fight like anything we know. They are not weak. They are predators, and we are the prey. The humans did not roar. They did not shout. Their attacks were cold, precise, and efficient. Every strike hit its mark. Every maneuver was perfect. Entire fleets that had thought themselves invincible now drifted in ruin. On Earth, leaders watched the battle unfold in real time. They did not panic. They did not celebrate. They observed, planned, and struck again. It was not chaos. It was strategy. From orbit, the blue planet seemed fragile. But the fleets emerging from it told a different story. Every ship carried the spirit of a species that had fought for survival against impossible odds. Every soldier, every pilot, every commander knew that their home was at stake. And that knowledge made them unstoppable. The alien armada, once confident, began to retreat. Thousands of ships tried to flee. But the humans pursued. They did not stop. They struck at the heart of the enemy, dismantling formations with surgical precision. In 1 hour, the galaxy witnessed the destruction of fleets that had ruled space for centuries. Survivors fled in panic, carrying the stories of Earth's power back to every empire. Every commander who survived knew one thing: humanity had awakened. And the galaxy would never forget. On distant planets, children whispered stories of the blue world that had destroyed the greatest armada ever known. Soldiers told tales in hushed tones of humans who fought like shadows and struck like storms. Traders avoided the systems that humans now dominated. And the council? They were left in silence. For the first time, the leaders who had once laughed at humanity realized the terrifying truth. Humans were not fragile. Humans were not weak. Humans were predators. The message spread without words. Every empire understood, Earth was not just a planet. It was a warning. A warning that humanity, when pushed to the brink, would rise with a strength no one could measure. The galaxy had laughed at humans for centuries. Now, it trembled. And deep in the darkness of space, humanity waited, watching, ready for whatever the galaxy might try next. Because humans did not just survive. They dominated. And the day Earth awakened would be remembered forever. The galaxy had never seen such destruction. Entire fleets, the pride of centuries, lay in ruins. Worlds that had laughed at humans were now trembling in fear. But not everyone had perished. A lone survivor drifted in the void. His ship had been torn apart, his comrades gone. He floated in an escape pod, staring at the stars that had witnessed humanity's wrath. His species had always believed themselves strong. They had thought their technology and tactics unbeatable. They had been wrong. The survivor was broken. His armor scorched, his body trembling, his mind haunted. Yet he lived. And the council demanded his testimony. He was brought before the leaders of the galaxy, the Grand Council. The chamber was silent. Every eye, every sensor, every mind focused on him. He spoke, voice shaking but clear. They are nothing like us. Not in size, not in strength, not in numbers. And yet, they are unstoppable. The councillors leaned forward, fear written across their features. I saw fleets destroyed before my eyes. I watched my comrades fall, one by one, and yet the humans, they did not retreat. They did not hesitate. Every strike we made, they anticipated. Every maneuver we attempted, they countered. It was perfect. He paused, swallowing the fear that choked his throat. They do not fight for glory. They do not fight for conquest. They fight for survival. And when a species fights with that kind of will, there is no stopping them. A counselor interrupted. But they are weak. They are only a single planet. How could they destroy entire fleets? The survivor shook his head. You do not understand. They are not weak. Their strength is their determination. They will endure anything, overcome anything, and they will strike without mercy. They are hunters, and we are their prey. The room fell silent. Even the proudest leaders of the galaxy could not speak. He continued, voice trembling but growing firmer. I watched as their ships emerged from the darkness. Smaller than ours, yes, but they moved like shadows, striking where we were weakest, disappearing before we could fight back. One moment, we believed victory. The next, half our fleet was gone. Every attempt to regroup failed. Every strategy, useless. The chamber trembled. A machine mind hummed nervously. A scaled warlord whispered, trembling, they are not like anything we know. They cannot be fought in the ways we have always fought. The survivor's eyes burned with horror and awe. I thought we were strong. I thought we were the masters of war. But they are beyond anything we imagined. They are not just a species. They are an idea. A force. A warning. Every counselor understood. Humanity had done more than win battles. They had broken the minds of their enemies, shattered the pride of centuries, and shown the galaxy that power was not measured in numbers or weapons, but in will. The survivor's voice lowered to a whisper. If they truly decide to fight for more than survival, the galaxy, the entire galaxy, will fall. The room remained silent. No one spoke. Even the machines hummed quietly, processing the implications. For the first time in history, the empires of the galaxy were united not by friendship or treaties, but by fear. And the witness, the lone survivor, finished with words that would echo across time. They are not our enemies, yet. But if we provoke them, if we ever dare to challenge them again, humanity will hunt us all. He looked down at the floor, trembling. Silence followed. Then, a single thought swept through every mind in the chamber. The humans had not only survived the galaxy's greatest fleets. They had conquered its fear. And now, the galaxy would never forget the day it learned the truth. The galaxy had waited in silence. For weeks, whispers spread like wildfire. Entire fleets had been destroyed. Colonies had been abandoned. Alien empires that once mocked humans now cowered in fear. But no one knew the full truth until the day humanity chose to reveal itself. It began with a message. Calm, cold, clear. Broadcast across every system. Every empire, every council, every commander heard the same words at once. You wanted to know what we are. Now you will understand. The transmission was followed by images. Not of victory parades or warships, but of Earth itself, its oceans, forests, cities, and people. A planet that seemed fragile enough to be crushed in an instant. And yet, it had survived everything. The images changed. They showed humans in battle, climbing mountains, crossing deserts, and surviving storms. They showed soldiers charging through fire, explorers venturing into darkness, children laughing in ruins. The galaxy watched in shock. We are not the strongest, the voice said. We are not the fastest. We are not the oldest. But we endure. No matter the cost. No matter the enemy. Humanity survives. The Galactic Council, for the first time, felt true fear. This was not just a message. It was a warning. The images showed warships. Small, fast, maneuverable. But countless in number. Each ship carried humans ready to fight. They struck with deadly precision. Entire alien fleets, outnumbering them 10-1, had been destroyed. And yet, humanity had not shown its full force. Leaders whispered to each other in dread. They are not prey. They are hunters. The transmission continued. You destroyed our colonies. You killed our people. You thought we were weak. Now, you will learn the cost of waking humanity. Then, in a display that shook the galaxy, 500,000 human warships emerged from the darkness of space. Hidden until now, they revealed themselves in a formation larger than anything the galaxy had ever seen. Their engines glowed like stars. Their weapons gleamed. Every ship carried the emblem of Earth. The armada moved with precision. Alien fleets that had once mocked Earth now scattered in panic. Entire empires were paralyzed. The human voice returned, calm and cold. This is who we are. And this is just the beginning. From distant worlds, survivors told stories of what they had seen. Ships moving like shadows, striking without warning, never retreating, never surrendering. Soldiers fighting even when the odds were impossible. Humans did not fear death. They did not fear defeat. They feared only one thing: extinction. And that fear had forged them into something unstoppable. The alien empires realized too late. Humanity was not fragile. Humanity was not weak. Humanity was the end of anything that threatened them. They had survived impossible odds, fought wars that should have ended them, and learned to turn survival itself into a weapon. On distant planets, commanders whispered in terror. They cannot be defeated. They will never stop. They are the end of us all. And yet, humanity's message was clear. This was not a conquest. Not yet. It was a warning. A test. A reminder that the galaxy should never underestimate them again. The final images burned into every mind, fleets moving as one, soldiers standing in silence before battle, and the calm, deadly determination of a species that would endure anything. The transmission ended. Silence followed. But the silence was not safety. It was the stillness before the storm. Because now the galaxy understood the truth. Humanity had risen. Not as victims, not as survivors, but as the greatest hunters the stars had ever known. And from that day forward, the galaxy would never forget the simple, terrifying truth. This is what humans truly are.